Good morning, everyone. We're back, and we have a little echo in the back. I'm sure you guys can handle that. But Karen is in the house.
Woo woo!
Anything that we say is not meant to diagnose you or cure you. It's just meant for your own educational information. Check with your doctor before implementing any of the stuff that I talk about. So I'll have Steve work on this echo if you
Good.
could. That would be wonderful. I think there's a way to handle it. And in the meantime, we are going to go right to Sultan. Are you there?
Hi, hi, Dr. Berg. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, how are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. What's your
Hello?
question?
Cannot hear anything.
Oh, you can't hear anything.
Hi? I can't hear right now. Can
Okay.
you hear me?
Microphone.
No, not that one.
Oh,
Okay, so,
Yes, Sultan can hear you.
he
okay.
can. Okay.
Sultan, go ahead. What's your question? I accidentally
Say
put him
every
on mute.
time she go. Yeah?
Go ahead, Sultan.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I cannot hear anything.
Okay, try it once more. Sultan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear. Yes, I can hear right now. I can
Okay,
hear.
so what's your
Yes.
question?
Yeah, I'm calling on behalf of my grandmother. She say every time she lay down to sleep, on the bottom of her feet, she gets like she said, needles and pinching and itching, hurting her every night right before she goes to sleep.
Hmm.
What could that be? It's like
Well, that sounds
pinching and
like there's
needles.
a problem with peripheral neuropathy, and I would recommend a product called benfotiamine. It's a
Mm-hmm.
B1 product that you can get that you probably need to take 4 tablets a day and over a period of time, and that will handle the peripheral neuropathy. But that's usually a symptom of diabetes, so she's going to have to get on keto and intermittent fasting for sure.
Mm. Can she take nutritional yeast instead?
Yes, but it's not going to be as effective because you need something that will penetrate the fat lining around the nerves. So
Mm-hmm.
benfotiamine works 25 times stronger than regular B1. So in this case, nutritional yeast won't really penetrate or make a big difference.
Mm. And is there any health difference between butter and ghee?
What was that?
Which one do you recommend? Is there any health difference between butter and ghee?
Butter and ghee.
Um,
Yes.
yes, ghee doesn't have any of the potential allergens like casein and of course lactose. So it's a purified fat, and that's the difference. Is basically it's clarified, which means they take everything out of that butter and they leave just the fat.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome. All right, great. So let's go to Marie from Connecticut.
Good morning, Dr. Berg, and good morning, Karen.
Good morning.
I
Hi.
have a good morning. I'll jump right in. I have an 8-year-old son. He has sounded like he's had the worst cold since he was almost born. We've been trying to work on his intestinal with probiotics that we bought from you, and he wakes up most nights and he's coughing every 3 seconds for about 2 hours. So yeah, everybody's exhausted. We're backing down the sugar. We're going to the xylitol candy. Is there anything else that I can do, or what should be my basics that I do every night to see he doesn't have allergies, he doesn't have asthma? Oh, he'll outgrow it. Don't worry. Well,
Now, is he
okay.
on any dairy at all?
He does do cheese. He does do some cheese. I'm trying to back him off of that. It's a problem because he's not a very great eater for me. And I'm trying to
Yeah.
do the keto, but it's a struggle with him because he is very picky.
Yeah, I think the ideal situation is to start off with your children keto friendly, but of course it's too late now.
Uh,
So
you bet.
The problem is there's probably some fungus or microbe growing that's being fed by the sugar or the lactose in the milk. So you're going to have to get them off that because that's really the only way. I mean, you could use all these different remedies, but if you keep feeding this whatever it is, fungus or mold or yeast, it's just not going to go away. But you know, xylitol helps sinus issues as well. So if you use that as a sweetener, get him involved making some keto treats. I would have keto bombs around and go sugar free. But unfortunately, that's what you're up against. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then Steve, I think you're working on the echo, right? Unless
Well,
it's
there might be a little deal on your little Lucy thing that cuts off that echo thing on your little screen. We're getting very technical, folks, as we work out this new.
Lucy.
Yeah,
What is?
on your main screen,
Oh,
there's a little thing there
I
that,
know what to do.
yeah,
I know what to do.
take that little gadget off.
How about now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, I
You
think we're
did
good.
it.
I
Oh,
think we're good.
oh, that's so fabulous. That must have been
Nice
driving you
job.
crazy. Folks, what you didn't realize is
Yeah.
poor Karen and Doc heard a terrible echo in their head, and they're trying to keep their brains straight and listen to you at the same time. So that was a heroic effort, but now you don't need to.
Let's go to Ruth from Dallas.
Ruth. Ruth.
Okay,
Stand by just a
Steve.
moment.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Hello? Oh, okay. Hi, Dr. Berg. Hi, Karen.
Hi, girl.
Hi.
I am going to get right to it because I've been calling in a few times, and I did get a blood test, and it showed that I was borderline low on the calcium. And so I've been taking calcium, and I've been taking a buttload of other supplements as well. But I just feel like there's an absorption issue, and I've been making sure to take the Digestate every time I take my supplements, and then 2 times during the day on an empty stomach, I've been taking the bile salt.
Hmm.
But I'm still I take 500 milligrams of calcium citrate, 20,000 IUs of the D3 K2.
Wow.
I take it with a tablespoon of
Okay, Ruth, can you hear me now?
coconut oil. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I still feel the tingling in my legs. If I miss a day and I don't take it, I'll get the tingling in my shins. I'll get sore teeth. So I haven't retested my calcium, but I feel like it's still low. I don't feel like it's increased. The same thing with 12. I mean, I take 3,000 IUs of it a day, but if I skip a few days, then I can see my nails starting to split again. So
What test did you do to determine
the
this calcium
intracellular,
deficiency?
the intracellular test.
Intracellular test. Wow.
Yeah, it was that you'd recommended, where you send your blood off and they tell you, exactly what you're deficient in. And like I said,
Yeah.
the calcium was only showing as borderline, but I get tingling in my in my shins. My teeth start to hurt, sore, like all of
Yeah.
my teeth. It's not like there's a cavity somewhere. It's just they're all sore if I don't take that calcium.
Yeah.
Um,
I would also kind of increase your vitamin D3, your magnesium, B6, and also K2, as well as your stomach acidity, because those are all factors that are helping you absorb calcium. It's very odd that you're not able to absorb that. I'm going to do some research and create a video on this for you. But in the
Yay!
meantime, I
Thank
would
you.
look at the vitamin D, K2, and B6 and your pH, just simply because these are cofactors that allow you to absorb calcium. It doesn't make sense to me that you'd be deficient in calcium. There's some other issue. I'll stay tuned for that video. All right, Karen,
Yeah.
what do we have coming in through social media for a question?
Okay. So, first of all, Miriam wants to know on Facebook, is there a place to submit a success story?
No, we don't accept those anymore. No, absolutely. Go to Dr. Berg at drberg.com and submit your success story. We are love to actually get these success stories and post them on the website. Absolutely.
Great. Here's one from Rosie. Doc, I'm on keto and IF. Coincidentally, I got bad headache before the rain or bad weather comes or gets a headache. Why am I getting this headache coming from the back of my neck?
Is there any other data?
None. On keto and IF, bad weather comes, pain in the neck. Well, rain is a pain in the neck.
Now, if the weather affects your headaches, what's happening is you have there's some of the barometric type problem in the joints, and so like some people are real sensitive to the weather changes, and it could be a human weather person, which I think maybe should get a part-time job as that. But in the meantime, there's probably some old injury to the back of your neck has some scar tissue. So when the pressure is just not equalizing, and for that situation, the best thing to do is get into a state of autophagy and start doing a lot more fasting. That's what I would recommend. I am going to release a video on headaches very, very soon, so check that out. All right.
Got parts falling out of me.
And by the way, we've got a whole list of questions. So anytime you want to launch one of
Hey,
those,
you know
let me
what?
know.
Steve, let's give everyone a nice question here. The first question is, what is the best nutrient for chronic diarrhea?
You had to open with that one.
I had to. So I tell you what, you can actually see these results too, right?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let's see what people are saying. And in the meantime,
I have a question here from CA. Hey, Dr. Berg, I hit a plateau and I don't really know what to do. I consume 1,200 to 1,500 calories a day, and I'm looking to continue losing weight. Any advice? So there's no data. Are they doing keto or intermittent fasting? So that would be the first one, the first point, right?
yeah, I would go just do the simplicity of this, get on keto and intermittent fasting simply because I don't even recommend treating any remedies or anything until you get the basic eating plan implemented in your life. So many things will clear up from that. But Steve, are you there?
I am, sir.
I have a question. I think I can get rid of the echoing by going off air and then on air and fixing this problem. Is that okay to do this temporarily?
Yes, let's do that, and I'll bring the slide back up and entertain the masses with that. So go ahead, Doc. Everyone stand by as the Dr. Berg reconnects. Okay, and remember, question, what is the best nutrient for chronic diarrhea? That is a must-know question, and the doctor's continuing to work, and we've got the doctor back. Go ahead. Okay, stand by. We're still reconnecting. Technology. He says he's back, okay? All right,
This
go
is
ahead.
fun.
Oh, in conference.
This is
There
really
we
fun.
go. Dr. Berg, let him have it.
Okay, good. So let's go to Brandy from Burbank. You had a question about your digestion.
Hi,
Go
it's so
ahead.
nice to speak with you guys. Thank you for all that you do. So my question is, I have gastritis and I have GERD, symptoms from both pretty chronically. Just wondering where to do or what exactly you would do to start to get rid of both of them.
Yeah, I think there's two things you can do, Brandy. Number one, zinc is going to be really important in supporting your digestive system, especially when you have gastritis. But there's something else that I think could also help you with GERD, and that's vitamin B1. I would get it from nutritional yeast, but that will help the valve issues. So that valve starts getting really, really closed down because the problem is if you add more acidifiers to help you with your digestion with the gastritis, that might irritate it. So a good vegetable to consume for this condition would be anything related to cabbage, whether it's sauerkraut, coleslaw, cabbage is a salad. That's like has the best nutrients for your problem. So that's what I would do. In addition to the healthy version of keto and intermittent fasting. Hopefully you're doing that as well, Brandy. Awesome. Let's go to see what people answered with the first question.
Okay. A lot of different things. Calcium, potassium, magnesium, zinc, B6, lectin, sodium.
Okay, and
There you go.
And the answer is zinc.
Ooh, who did zinc? Someone here.
Do you realize
Lenga.
that there's over 500,000 children that die from diarrhea because they're zinc deficient every year?
Wow.
Worldwide?
That's crazy.
It's a simple solution. The problem is, number one, some children are not consuming any animal products. That's number one, because most of the zinc is in animal products. And secondly, if they're doing cereals and grains, there's something in the grain, that fiber called phytate, that blocks the absorption of zinc, so they become very, very deficient. So this so-called healthy whole grains is not so healthy. So yeah, if you have diarrhea, definitely do the zinc. I have some real interesting questions coming up here, but I want to jump right to Lynn, who's been waiting patiently. Go ahead, Lynn.
My first question is, I have the gallbladder formula, the extra strength, and I noticed that in the supplement facts, there's no bile salts. So,
guess what? You had the version that is the vegetarian version. We just came out with a vegan version of my gallbladder formula. So that's somehow you got that version. So what you could do is call my office and just let them know that you have the vegan version and you want the regular version.
Oh, okay. Definitely. And
Yeah, I'm glad you
also, also I went to my doctor yesterday and my cholesterol was 131. He told me to go on statins. I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So what should I do? I mean, I'm not asking you if I should take the statins, but I am asking you if I should take the statins. Or can I?
Right. I already gave my...
I'd love to answer and can't answer.
I gave my disclaimer. So this is what I suggest.
Okay.
I just released a video on statins, and I would watch it. I think you'll get your answer on that video.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
I did see where you have that on there. And one more thing. When 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with, I can't even remember, but it's like does this sound right? Sympathetic liver? Because I do have fatty liver.
Mm.
But it says my liver is constructed like a animal's liver, like a dog's liver.
Yeah.
Does
okay.
that sound right?
No, it doesn't sound right to me, but here's what I would do if you have a fatty liver. And this will help your cholesterol too. The purified bile salts, especially when you get the correct version of what you need with my gallbladder formula, but also choline is going to be really important for a fatty liver. And then just keeping your carbs down, doing fasting for a period of time, and eventually your body will use all that fat that's in your liver. That's kind of an overflow of years of doing carbs in the past. So it can be reversed. So definitely stick to it. Thanks, Lynn. All right, I'm ready for another next question to put out there.
Can I just say how unflattering this video is?
Oh, there we go. That's the correct one. See that?
Well, you have a
myself.
doorknob camera, so it's a fisheye, and so everyone looks
It's
like
a fisheye.
So it looks
So
like
that
the
makes
amusement
my
park.
nose.
Well, yeah, I'm afraid.
My Polish nose.
No, but
as big as it possibly.
You have to go closer by the camera. Go closer to the
No,
camera.
it's
Karen.
worse. It's a lie. The whole thing's a lie, ladies and gentlemen. They do not have.
Keep your head in the back. I'll keep it right here.
And next week we're going to have the super duper camera, which is more appealing. But in the meantime, don't pay attention to what you see on the screen.
Oh my gosh. Okay. If
You know-
I was watching, I would be like, what happened to her? Okay, let's take a question here.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's take a social media question before your next question,
Let's
because
do
we've
it.
been neglecting these guys
No,
over
let's
here.
let's go for it.
Okay, good. What is a good substitute for bile salts? Now you have that vegan product, but if someone is just in life, they're a vegan and they don't want to take that, what would
If
they
you
eat?
look at the ingredients in my vegan gallbladder formula, you'll see exactly all the remedies that act like bile, but like beets, for example, beet tops. Um, what's the other one that's really common that I never consume this vegetable, but
Mustard greens,
no, it's
horseradish,
no. What is it?
radishes. I'm thinking of all the things I love
Radishes will help
that
you
he
for
doesn't
sure.
like.
Yeah. Also, apple cider vinegar will actually increase your bile output. Um, and also, unfortunately, if you're a vegan, saturated fat stimulates bile release. So if you're on a low-fat diet, especially if it's saturated fat, you might have a problem. So coconut oil might be an issue, might be something you can also take to increase your bile flow. Okay?
Yeah.
All right, good.
Okay. You want to ask a question, I can tell.
This is a true or false question.
True.
Let me ask the question.
Okay.
Can a B1 deficiency cause shortness of breath? Okay. While you guys are answering that, let's go to Shaila from Thailand, calling about her 13-year-old daughter.
Shyla.
Shyla, go
Little
ahead.
delay.
Okay, so I have a 13-year-old daughter. She's essentially healthy. Her blood pressure is normal, and she doesn't have any underlying diseases. We've done her blood work a few times, and there was really nothing diagnosed except for the fact that she might be borderline anemic. But she's sweaty. She has sweaty palms, and her problem is that she's dizzy randomly from time to time when she stands up from sitting or goes up the stairs or when she plays sports. And this happens quite a lot. And I was just wondering what to do. I've been following your video instruction, and I've been giving her some daytime formula and the nighttime formula at night, but doesn't seem to help. Please advise.
I think I know what's going on. This is an easy one to solve. This is a classic B1 deficiency. She needs vitamin B1, which supports the autonomic nervous system that regulates your adaptation to gravity. Because if you stand up too quick and you get dizzy, that's a B1 deficiency. Not necessarily always adrenal issues. Also, the sweating palms is an autonomic nervous system problem. And it's really hard to figure this out because you have to go to a neurologist and they do all these different neurological tests. And then once they figure it out, they don't even know what to do about it sometimes. So the B1, and then also I would look at my video coming up on, I'll release it this next week, on all the different ways that you are deficient in B1 because there's something that is causing her deficiency. It could be that she's consuming too many carbs. But there's other reasons too. But vitamin B1 is what she needs. I like those
Should I
easy
give
ones.
her nutritional yeast?
Yes, absolutely.
How much of that should she be taking?
As much as she can tolerate. If you get a non-fortified one or something that's not adding more synthetic, so you just have the natural, have them through the day and just you can swallow them, chew them, and she'll be feeling a lot better. All right. So
Okay,
what do
thank
we
you
have?
so much.
You're welcome. Okay, Karen, what do you have to answer? True or false?
True and false, but I would say that the trues have it.
The truths are correct. Yes. I'm going to release a video on all the unusual B1 deficiency symptoms. And this is one of them, like shortness of breath. So if you have like air hunger or you're like, can't get enough air, that could be a B1 deficiency. But stay tuned for some additional ones that will probably be very interesting. All right. So I'm ready for another question.
They're all interesting.
Yes.
Okay, good. So, Kulpreet asks, why would feet burn with coconut oil intake?
Well, in theory, it shouldn't burn. What I'm going to do to solve this is when I talk, I can just pull this out, and then I don't have to hear myself. Yeah, that's pretty, coconut oil should not cause burning feet. I've never heard of that before, and I have no idea why you would have burning feet by eating coconut oil. Unless it could be some allergy, but other than that, doesn't make sense.
There you go.
Yeah. I think this works. All right. Deborah from Hawaii. You had a question related to some nutrients in your diet. Go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Berg.
Hi.
I'm doing intermittent fasting and healthy keto, and for the last couple of days, I've been adding the SIBO strategy on top of that. I should say my understanding is that means adding the parameter of no fiber and no ferments for at least a month. So I'm wondering about certain ingredients, like should I include nutritional yeast even though it has fiber, and how many tablespoons per day could I have? Can I juice the vegetables that I normally would have eaten? Can I take the cruciferous superfoods? Is tamari okay? Can I drink homemade nut milks? Like I use hard coconut meat, and when can I drink that? And liver, if I eat raw liver, which I prefer, how much a day do I need? Because doesn't cooking it kill the water-soluble vitamins? So that's my first line of questions.
Okay. That's quite a few questions, but let me see if I can get through these, Deborah. I think here's the problem with SIBO, and this is what people don't realize, is SIBO is this bacteria, even your friendly bacteria that's growing in the small intestine. It should be in the large intestine, it's growing in the wrong place. And they're robbing you of your nutrients. So the liver, the coconut, the juice from vegetables, the nutritional yeast, I think are all totally fine. And because they have a little bit of fiber, but not that much. So it's really when you eat big salads where you're going to have a problem. So I would do all of that, and because you are going to be deficient. So I think that's going to help you offset this problem. But the most important thing with SIBO would be to do a lot of fasting. That's like the most important. Second thing is cut down your carbs, and then your fiber vegetables. Do carnivore for a while, and then oregano would help. And the other thing too, vitamin B1 from the nutritional yeast is going to be very beneficial because it supports the valves on your digestive system, and it's going to actually help peristalsis too. So don't forget that one as well.
Okay. Yeah, so I had been doing the intermittent fasting and keto, and then I read what happened was I was feeling so good during the fasting period, like better than ever.
Right.
But then I would eat and I'd feel like a train wreck.
Right. Right.
And then I noticed, my stomach was just huge and bloated, and I was like, and I'm also, I'm 5'8", I weighed 125 going into this, and suddenly I add SIBO, and I'm down to 115, so I'm losing weight, and I'm kind of scared. I'm weak, fatigued. I got diarrhea a couple of days, and so that's when I was like, oh, geez, I think I'm supposed to be adding. I go to your videos, and everything I'm supposed to add, like nut butters and all, I'm like, well, I'm not supposed to have that on this diet, on the SIBO part.
Right.
So I'm like, should I just cut back on my vegetables instead of like going on this whole SIBO thing, or do you think I should stick with this SIBO, adding the SIBO protocol?
Are you absolutely sure you have SIBO?
you know, so my naturopath, my best friend is a naturopath, and years ago she said, you have, you know, you probably have SIBO, and I didn't do a test, but you know, so she put me on the SIBO diet. Nothing has ever worked until I added intermittent fasting. Like that
Yeah.
stuff is amazing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I had SIBO. You know, I tried the diet, it didn't really work, but like I said, nothing has worked for me before I added intermittent fasting.
Okay, so I would get a test to make sure you have SIBO. I'm not 100% sure you have SIBO, so you may be able to tolerate some of these vegetables. So I'd hate to have you go, wow, I have the wrong thing. It's just get a test and find out. But you may be stuck between a rock and a hard place because especially when you're trying to, we know intermittent fasting is so beneficial, but then if you're losing more weight, what are you going to do? If you try to add more fat or fiber or whatever, and all of a sudden, bam, it's like now that's going to create a worse problem. So I would first make sure that you have SIBO, especially if you do intermittent fasting. That should really help you clear out SIBO so you no longer have it. But I think I would definitely add more betaine hydrochloride or apple cider vinegar to acidify that stomach too as another thing as well. But thanks for your question. I have it muted right here. Okay, so now I'm ready to give the next question.
Okay.
Just so they can work on that.
Okay.
Now, most of you know that metformin is a medication for diabetes type 2. If you didn't know it, it is. Why would metformin help someone who has an autoimmune condition? Yeah, they're actually using it for autoimmune conditions. Why would metformin help someone with an autoimmune condition? And metformin is a primary drug that deals with helping you with diabetes type 2. Okay, so this is kind of a question that you'd have to understand the mechanism a little bit more, but let's see who can get this one. And as you're chewing on that question, I'm ready for a question.
You are, good. Question for the sound man. Here I am at hour 36 of my first prolonged fast. Will stinging nettle root tea break the fast? I'm drinking black coffee, lemon water, electrolytes, wheatgrass, along with supplements.
No, it's not going to break your fast. How about that?
Well, that was a very A to B answer. Good, I'll go back here and get another one.
Yeah.
Regarding if I'm doing keto and IF, I'm currently consuming less than 50 grams of carbs a day, and I fast 20 hours and eat within a 4-hour window. Is that okay?
Yeah, that sounds really good. That's I would highly recommend that. That's a really good pattern.
Okay, good.
Just knocking them out.
He is. He's going. Okay,
I like
good.
the yes/no questions.
Okay. Here's one from Natasha. I suspect I have a fatty liver, but nothing came up on the blood work. I have right shoulder pain. Should I proceed with remedies you recommend for fatty liver? The belly is shrinking with healthy keto.
Yes and yes. Well, that was easy. The thing with the fatty liver, though, you can't do a blood test to determine your fatty liver. You have to do an ultrasound, or there's other testing as well, but not a blood test unless, you can, if there's high levels of liver enzymes that could indicate, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. So it's ultrasound. But here's the thing. If you have a full sensation on the right upper underneath your rib cage, you need bile salts, purified bile salts, gallbladder type support. That's going to increase the flow of bile and help the fatty liver, if there is one, as well as the flow through your bile ducts. I'm doing a lot of videos on the bile because it's so interesting. I'm actually doing because I'm interested in the topic, and hopefully other people are interested as well.
I'm sure they are.
But let's see if we get it. Did we get any answers on this last question?
Repeat the question.
Why is metformin also, in addition to helping you with diabetes, also good for autoimmune conditions? What are people saying?
People are saying it's anti-inflammatory. It lowers blood sugar and histamines. It keeps sugars down, less stress on the adrenal. It lowers, here's one. It regulates insulin or it lowers insulin.
You guys are pretty smart people.
Smart. Wicked smart.
Here's the thing. Metformin mainly deals with insulin resistance. That's what it deals with. And when you have insulin resistance, you get inflammation. And inflammation causes insulin resistance and back and forth. So when you take metformin, you're greatly reducing your inflammatory, it's called cytokines, and that's going to reduce the complications of autoimmune conditions. Now, I'm not recommending it. I'm just letting you know because you can easily do this with low carb, especially low carb, as well as fasting. But the fact that metformin targets insulin resistance is fascinating because that tells us that there's some connection with blood glucose and sugars and insulin and autoimmune disease. And there is. I'm going to release a video coming up that's very interesting. And when you do keto and low carb, you greatly improve your immune system, okay? Especially the mechanism that's causing this self-attack. And so it's not just about lowering inflammation, it's about you're supporting certain immune cells that will drop inflammation and help you kind of put that thing in remission. So stay tuned for a video on that. Okay, Karen?
Okay, good. Here is one, excuse me, from Facebook. Talk about high amylase or do a video on it, please.
Let me do a video on that one because there's a lot more to it than just a quick answer. But Lydia is calling for more. She had a question about blurriness in the left eye. Go ahead, Lydia.
Hi. So I started intermediate fasting and keto. I was 195 and now I'm 174. I did that for about 2.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I started this. I've been wanting to do intermediate fasting forever and listen to your shows for a long time, but I just never thought I could do intermediate fasting. But I did this for a while. I lost the weight, but I started it because of my vision. I was blurry, and I started feeling blurry when one of my left eye. Sorry, I'm so nervous. I'm talking to you. I'm losing myself. And I went to the doctor, and they said that I had. I thought I had. What do you call it? The white in the eye. I forgot what it's called.
Cataracts.
But but he's like, you're too young for that. So, he told me I had a trauma to my eye, and it was. The problem is, it was getting worse because when you have a trauma, I don't think it's supposed to get worse and worse rapidly. And he put me on a antiviral. It's called I can't even say it correctly. So he put me that for I think about a week and a half. I did that with steroid in my eye and also
Hey, Lydia. Lydia, you're very muffled right now, but I think I know your question. So let me give you some help with that because typically when you do intermittent fasting, your eyesight should get better even if there's an old injury. But there's something else that I think that you could do that I think you'll really like, especially if there's an old injury to the eye. And I've done this myself because I had some old injuries to the eye. There's a product, and it's from Standard Process. It's called iPlex. Take one before bed. You can order online, iPlex, and it really will. I found it's really good for supporting the eye, especially if there is an old injury. Okay, and then continue to do what you're doing because when you do low carb and keto, you're gonna improve the blood flow to the eye, the nerve flow to the eye, the retina. even the lens. The opposite of that is a high carb, and that really destroys the eye and creates all sorts of problems. So those are some suggestions that I would recommend, and then let us know if it works, okay? Thanks. All right, Karen, what do we have?
Okay. Here we have one from Carlos. Good morning, doctor. A year ago, my wife started having inflammation in her joints. Her doctor said to use glucosamine. She didn't, as the pain and inflammation lowered. But a month ago, she started with D3 and K2. Inflammation came back. So I don't know if that was the same time, as well as she has dry eye.
Well, dry eye is a vitamin A deficiency, so she might need more vitamin A. Sometimes when you take more of one vitamin, it can lower another vitamin. But when you actually take D3 and K2, a lot of people have huge benefits from knee pain and other types of pain because you're actually helping mobilize the calcium from the joints into the bone. So, and vitamin D is an anti-inflammatory. So, I don't think that the vitamin D is making, or the K2 is making the knee worse or the joints worse. I think I would add more vitamin cod liver oil. That would be good, and
And see what she's eating.
also make sure that you're on the healthy version of keto and intermittent fasting, which is the most important thing, for sure.
And some people can notice huge inflammation the day after a meal that has bread or carbs or something. And
That is
I
correct.
think it's something else.
That's right.
All right.
Okay.
What are we doing?
We're going to go to Brad from
Okay.
Atlanta. Brad, you had a question. You actually lost 50 pounds.
Woo woo.
Yeah, so thanks, Dr. Berg. So since November of 2019, I've lost 50 pounds. I hit a plateau around a couple months ago where I lost 40 pounds and wasn't quite where I wanted to be body composition-wise. And that's when I started a regimen of intermittent fasting and ketogenic diet. And I lost another 10 pounds. So I'm feeling great. I went to my doctor earlier this week and did a full panel blood work, came back with high LDL cholesterol. Everything else in my lab results came back normal.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's recommending that I go on to some medication, which I'd really like to avoid at all costs. I've seen some of your videos where it talks about it in a normal situation. But I guess my question really is, once I reach my body composition goals, which I suspect will be in the next 3 to 4 months, and I get into kind of more of a maintenance routine, can I expect that LDL will come down on its own? And how long should I expect that may take?
Okay. Good question, Brad. LDL is a protein that carries cholesterol from the liver to the cells. And what you have to realize that your fat cells store triglycerides and cholesterol. So as you're losing weight, your cholesterol obviously is going to have to be mobilized from your fat cells throughout the body. I would recommend, just for your own peace of mind, because I do not think this is a problem at all, I would get an advanced lipid profile test. It's an advanced kind of a cholesterol or lipid test, which measures the two different types of LDL. One is the small dense particles and the large buoyant particles, A and B. Even Karen, you had that test because your LDL was higher. We did the advanced testing, and you're going to find that there's actually a good LDL, and that's the one that was screaming high on yours, and the other one was normal. So this whole thing with LDL is still like some of these doctors are kind of not up to date on the new information about LDL. Once you do this advanced lipid profile, you're going to find that it's going to be the version that is not bad at all. It's a large buoyant LDL that is not going to invade the inside of your arteries. So that's what I would do. And you're going to find that, wow, this was not a problem after all because you have all these other benefits. Nothing to worry
Great.
about.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. All right. So before we take a question, I'm going to throw this other question out here.
Okay.
What natural nutrient is an antidote if someone's being poisoned with antifreeze, ethylene glycol? I know you guys were thinking about this for a while, and like,
Wow, who do you
what
hang around?
if I ever happen to be poisoned with antifreeze, what would be a remedy? Wouldn't you like to know?
Half the audience doesn't because, they might have it in use.
Terrible.
Well, I'm just saying.
Steve.
Steve.
Okay, let's go to a question.
Okay, while you're answering that question that is a rare.
It's a common thing that people want to know.
Okay. So, Pia, where is your question? Here's a really interesting question. Why is our body so demanding for vitamins and minerals on a daily basis when we are designed not to eat that much or that often?
Well, we were designed to consume nutrient-dense foods that used to be in our soils, but no longer are.
Right.
I mean, we're consuming. We have so far off the natural diet for so long, and have so many deficiencies that you can't just eat food and balance things. And unfortunately, even the soils now, you'd have to literally grow your own food and have super healthy soils to get the nutrition that you need. So that's why you have to enhance your diet with supplements.
The food itself doesn't have the nutrients that it used to have.
It's empty, empty. And especially if you have a history of doing a lot of refined foods. And I'm even talking about refined proteins or fats, as in vegetable oils. That's a refined fat. All these things create major problems. And then now, how do we backtrack and undo that? Nutrients will help.
Yeah.
Did you realize, Karen, that folate comes from the derivation, means foliage, which is kind of leafy greens, because you get your, or just vegetable. Folate is in leafy greens. If you're deficient in folate alone, you start to experience DNA damage very similar to radiation damage. So nutrients are do a lot more than just help you metabolize. They can protect the DNA, and if you don't have them, you're wide open to get damage from diabetes, from radiation, from junk foods, from all sorts of things.
Wow. Okay, now, did you ask a question?
Yep. What nutrient is the antidote to antifreeze, or the poison in antifreeze, which is ethylene glycol?
Okay.
What do we got?
So we have zinc, charcoal, milk, and then B1D, eggs, someone said.
Who said B1?
Well, Lenga said B1, but also said D, and also said eggs.
Well, B1 is correct. She had the correct answer. B1.
He or she, we don't know.
Vitamin B1 will help to counter this poisoning effect, which is fascinating. Also, you could use magnesium as well, but B1 works a little bit better. So just make mental note if you're ever on a Trivial Pursuit game.
Right. That's hopefully the only time you'll ever need that information.
Yeah. Okay. As you kind of find some other questions, let's go to Patricia. She had a question about inflammation on the scalp. Are you there?
Hi. Yes, I am. Hi, Dr.
Hi.
Berg and Karen.
Hi.
Karen, I hope one day you start your own YouTube channel about how to look so great. That'd be great.
Oh, thank you. Well, I won't be
Yeah,
using this,
I would watch it
camera.
for sure and become a subscriber.
Oh,
Anyway, you know what?
sweet.
My question is in regard to inflammation of the scalp. So I've gone to the dermatologist because I have like these little sores on my scalp, and they really haven't been able to diagnose it in regards to anything. They say, it's dermatitis or folliculitis, but it seems like none of those are correct. So the dermatologist put me on scalp oil, and it seems to help, but it's definitely not going away. And I do your healthy keto, been doing it for a long time. So I was just wondering if you had any other recommendations, since the scalp oil seems to be helping, but I feel like it's something from the inside out. And then my other question is really in regards to your supplement, whether or not you still have to take the D3 and K2 if I have now started taking the immune supplement, because they kind of have the same ingredients except for the K2 is not in there. So I was wondering about that.
Yeah, so some of these supplements do cross over. So I think the immune product would give you enough of the D that you need for that. So I think you're fine on that. But as far as your scalp goes, this is kind of a classic vitamin A deficiency. I'm writing a book on the skin. And so I have it's fresh in my mind of what's going on because it's really vitamin A is like the most important thing for your skin. But it's not that you don't have enough vitamin A. I think usually the more common thing is there's something going on with your liver or gallbladder bile that doesn't allow you to absorb the vitamin A. So what I would do if I were you is I would take some gallbladder formula or purified bile salts to help to really get your fat-soluble vitamins absorbed a lot more, not just A, but D as well, which is an anti-inflammatory, which is good for kind of dandruff, for psoriasis type stuff. But I think you'll get most benefit from taking a gallbladder support formula for what you have, for your skin, and then make sure you're on keto and IF, intermittent fasting, and I think your skin's going to be the best. So for those of you that have skin issues, acne, whatever, when you go low carb, your inflammation in your skin goes down. When you do intermittent fasting, you create all these incredible things that happen with your proteins, and your skin and collagen is protein. And then if you add in the nutrients to that to make it healthy, especially the fat soluble ones, and then you can digest it with bile, your skin is going to be amazing. Just a tip, Karen, as you apply on a regular basis.
Thank you. Okay, here's one.
Yeah.
From Irish One. Dr. Berg, will serrapeptase help with liver cysts?
I don't think so. Serrapeptase is a good enzyme to get rid of scar tissue and unwanted protein, but the cysts are a little different. Cysts usually come from some type of blood sugar issue, whether it's insulin resistance or high sugar or something like that. Now, sometimes if they're in the liver, it's just encapsulating a poison or a toxin of some sort, which is a good thing. So this could have been from years ago when you weren't on keto and intermittent fasting, but now that you are, I'm assuming, I think you'll maximize your benefit from that. And even though maybe might not go away, it won't continue to get worse. That's just my guess.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Let's throw in another question, Karen. Okay. Let's see here. What nutrition or nutrient is missing for morning sickness? Okay.
Good question.
And which is part of the morning sickness, a sensitivity to odors.
Okay, now I've got to admit, we gave the audience a jump on this because I unwittingly threw this out on the ethylene glycol. So my goodness.
Did you put the question or did you put the answer?
Well, no, there's no answer, luckily. So, but they just had time to ponder this. That's all. But this question, what nutrition, and this is up now, what nutrient deficiency causes morning sickness and sensitivities to odors? So they just got to jump on the test. But anyway, no answer has come up. And so folks, have at it.
Okay,
good.
Okay.
And I wonder, can they hear that?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, that's Charlie.
Okay, so Carlos has been waiting patiently. Carlos, you're from Gaithersburg. Go ahead. You had a 9-year-old son that was diagnosed with high blood sugar and he's suffering from night terrors. I can't hear you, but I'm going to answer the question.
Hello?
Oh, hello. Hi.
Hey, I'm sorry, I was on mute. I apologize.
Oh.
So yes, my son, 9-year-old, I have 5 kids, all of them boys. He's the youngest one. He was diagnosed with high blood sugar like about 18 months ago. He sporadically has been having night terrors. And lately, for the last few weeks, he says that he sees people with small heads. I saw in your programs that blood sugar interferes with vision. So I thought that maybe that has something to do with that, or maybe not, I don't know. Point is that a couple of days ago, I started giving him 250 milligrams of B1 and potassium. But I would like to know what would be the right doses for kids for potassium and B1. What other thing would you suggest in this case?
Okay, so he's 9 years old, right? So the problem
Yes.
is you got to make sure that you're not giving him a synthetic B vitamin. That's number one. And just so you know, not that I'm biased of my own B vitamin product, but I have a B1 product in a blend of all the Bs and all the nutrients. And I call it something different, but it's really a B1 product for these type of issues. And it's my Keto Energy product. It used to be called the mitochondrial support, but that's the one I think you would get the most benefit. I mean, here's the thing. I use 3 different types of B1 in there. And one of the ones that I use, which is natural, is extremely expensive. It's like $2,200 a kilogram. It's crazy. It's like the most expensive nutrient, but I had to have it for that purpose because it really works well. So I think that would be the best bet for that. And then also, but the fact that he has high blood sugar he needs to get on keto. That's essential. No matter what you have to do, convince him to do that. That's really the underlying problem because the more carbohydrates someone consumes, the more the need for B1.
Mm-hmm.
And then the more symptoms you get, the more deficiency problems that you have.
I see. And how about the potassium?
Yeah, you want to do make sure he's doing enough from the food as well, but you could probably give him up to, like a half a scoop of the electrolytes, which is about 500 milligrams a day. I think that would be fine for a 9-year-old. I mean, you could probably do a little bit more, but I think 500 would be very reasonable. Thanks, Carlos. All right, Karen. What do we have the answers yet on this question? Morning sickness, what is the nutrient?
So I'm getting zinc, folate, B1, B1, B1.
So
This is fly.
So here's the thing. You guys probably have been hearing a common theme on all these questions, and the answer is B1 deficiency. So B1 is very, very important, especially if someone's pregnant. A lot of times they'll do a lot of carbs. I know it's surprising, but they might do a lot of carbs. And then there goes the B1. And then now the symptoms, they're real sensitive to certain odors, like that's one symptom. And also sensitive to lights, that's a B1 deficiency. But definitely beef up, no pun intended, on B1 if you have morning sickness. And I think you'll
There's B1
see.
in beef?
Yeah, there's B1 in beef as well.
Then that was a pun. That was
There
punny.
you go. There you go,
That was
Karen.
very punny.
That's right.
Excellent.
Hey, Belle from Canada. I know you've been waiting for 16 minutes. You had a question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Berg. Yes, I know you get a lot of questions on fibroids, but mine is a real concern because my MRI shows a very enlarged fibroid, about 7.5 by 7 inches, and it's displacing my colon posteriorly, and it's not invading the colon yet. But I thought, would it be damaging my colon to some extent? And another thing is, what's your opinion on embolization? And I wondered if you could do a video clip on embolization, and then so I have a couple other questions, but I thought maybe you could answer those first.
I think that's an option, especially if you've tried everything else first and it didn't work. But here's the thing: fibroid is a tumor, and it's fed by a blood supply, and there's a whole bunch of foods that are anti-blood supply to tumor. They're called anti-angiogenesis. So, and that would be all the cruciferous. Of course, I hope that you're consuming a lot of those foods. I would also avoid any foods that could stimulate hormones of any kind, like dairy, for example. The next thing is I would do a lot of not just intermittent fasting, I would do periodic prolonged fasting. I would definitely do probably 48-hour fasting every week, because what's going to happen is you're going to force the tumor to only eat certain fuels that it can't eat. So all your other cells can actually live on ketones, but fibroids, they love glucose. So right there, it's going to probably help you greatly. So that's one I would try to do and see if that works. But the other option might be something you might have to do if you've tried everything else first. And I don't know if it's obstructing anything with your colon because that your doc would be able to have to evaluate that and look inside and see based on ultrasound or MRI or whatever. But I wouldn't. If you have a choice, I always would recommend an MRI over a CAT scan because the CAT scan has a lot of radiation. FYI.
Right. Yep. And I had an MRI, but I am a pre-diabetic, and I have all of your products, and I just wondered how much estrogen and Scalp should I be taking, and yeah, so that would. And
the estrogen balance that I have, I would take 3 of those a day, and I would take 1 Scalp. Scalp is very powerful. You don't need much, just 1 a day, and I think that would be good. And then just work on the eating, work on keeping the carbs low, work on doing more fasting, and then just see how it goes. Take it week to week, Belle, okay? Thanks for your call. On that note, we will be working on the sound, the feedback.
Yes.
I really appreciate all your questions and your patience and your tolerance of all the bugs that
The bugs and the
that
bugs
occurred.
and the barking.
Yep. Have a wonderful week, guys.
Don't
We'll
go off.
see you next week.